You'll need significantly more protein if you are plant-based or vegan to build muscle. At least that's the claim that's all over fitness social media, and it's making plant-based athletes second guess or be even more protein obsessed, if that's possible in today's protein-centric world. But interestingly enough, you may be surprised what the research actually says with regards to plant-based intake. If you're new here, I'm E.C. Sinkowski, a licensed dietitian nutritionist, a certified CrossFit Level 4 coach, and the creator of the 3 Pillars Method, which is a simple, effective way to cut through all of the noise in nutrition and create your forever diet plan. Now, one of the 3 pillars is protein, so people are always concerned about eating the best protein choices. And the internet claims that vegans or plant-based individuals need way more protein because plant proteins are lower quality. And in fact, I used to really believe this as well. The claims about lower quality are typically with regards to the amino acid composition of the proteins. So amino acids are often called the building blocks of protein. They're sort of the Lego pieces, if you will. They fit together in all these different combinations to make up the proteins in our body, including the proteins that people tend to care the most about, and that would be our muscles. Now, there are 20 amino acids, 9 of which are considered essential. Essential means we must obtain them from food. We can't create them on our own or from other amino acids. Now, animal proteins are called complete because they contain all these 9 essential amino acids. But here's the second part that typically gets left off of that discussion. They contain all essential 9 in the amounts needed for proper growth and development. Now, of course, we want proper growth and development, but what's kind of misunderstood about the plant proteins is they do contain all the 9 essential amino acids. It's just that they typically have one amino acid that you could consider limiting, that there's not enough of that amino acid for this proper growth and development. And so you can get enough of that limiting amino acid by just eating a different plant-based source. So you can combine different plant sources and cover all of your amino acid needs quite easily. And this is really a lot of the discussion that gets left out. We're sort of looking at protein in isolation. We're looking at one single protein source and trying to decide if that one is the most ideal, when in reality, nobody watching this video is eating one type of protein source. You're eating a mixture of protein sources across the day, especially to get up to a target like I recommend at the 0.7 grams per pound. So once you hit that 0.7 grams per pound, there is no way you're going to be missing out on any amino acids, unless, of course, you're trying to prove me wrong and eating in some really obscure way, like doing it all on collagen, which is just silly. And we see that the literature supports this recommendation as well, that total protein for muscle mass and performance is the right thing to focus on. So, for example, people will often talk about the amino acid leucine. It's an essential amino acid, and it triggers muscle protein synthesis or the muscle building response. Now, here's a study that looked at omnivore and vegan intake with resistance training at a lower intake than what I say. They looked at 0.55 grams per pound compared to my 0.7, and the muscle building response was the same. And it was also the same when people ate protein in different size meals, meaning all of this perfect timing and perfectly spacing your protein across the day to optimize the muscle building response isn't necessary either. But here's the thing that I really want you to understand. You don't actually just care about the muscle building response immediately after eating protein. We care about whether or not that muscle building response translates into a net change of muscle mass, or better yet, a change in strength and performance. Because it's not just about having muscles, it's also being able to do more pull-ups or run faster, right? And so here's a meta-analysis of 30 randomized controlled trials, and they found no significant difference in strength or performance between plant proteins and animal proteins. They did find a small difference in muscle mass changes when they were looking between plant and animal, but not when they looked between non-soy plant and animal, because it turns out soy is a complete protein. Now, a limitation of this meta-analysis is they didn't break down the studies in terms of their total protein intake. And so we'd actually want to look and see, okay, were they eating enough protein? Were they eating at this 0.7 grams per pound that I recommend to even get the right adaptation? But fear not. We also have this Lorraine study that was looking at habitual vegans, which is really interesting, right? So it wasn't just for a short-term period of time, that people that were eating plant-based for a longer period of time, and they found that they had the same muscle mass and strength gains as omnivores eating at that 0.7 gram per pound level that I recommend. This focus on the most ideal or higher quality protein sources is really unnecessary. It causes unnecessary stress, expense, and complexity in the diet when people are trying to achieve their protein targets. You don't need specific essential amino acid supplements like leucine. You don't need supplements like BCAAs. You don't need to eat more protein if you're plant based or vegan. You don't need to combine food at different meals. You don't need to eat specific amounts of protein at each meal if you go ahead and focus on hitting the right total amount of protein each day. And of course, you have to be doing challenging resistance training to see all those gains, because that's really where the magic is, not in just eating the protein. So, what often sounds too simple or too basic, like just focus on total protein in the day, is actually more comprehensive because it's addressing those concerns about where the best muscle building response is and what best types of protein. And so, what's really nice about something like a simple guideline that's more comprehensive, it makes the diet more sustainable. The less rules you have to follow, the more you're going to be able to follow it for the long term, which is where you want the results. So you can stop wasting all this mental energy and time about what's the best protein source, and instead just worry about hitting that target of 0.7 grams per day, especially if you want to increase your muscle mass. If you want to put this into action, into an entire diet plan, check out my 3 Pillars Method app. It's got a 5-day free trial, and the URL is in the description. As much as I love protein, an entire diet plan doesn't just focus on protein. And so this is going to walk you step by step to develop a personalized plan for your body comp, health, and performance goals. And if you've got a question that you want me to answer, go ahead and leave it in the comments.